Virginia Democrats may want to kick the entire group of justices off the court, citing a new age limit. But Republicans might want one too on the opposite end. Should we have age limits or term limits? We got a lot to break down. Chicks on the right are here. Welcome to the Sean Spicer Show. Let's get into it. All right, folks, the redistricting wars are continuing. Trump is heading off to China. A lot going on. Alabama last night codifying this map 6-1, an additional pickup for the Republicans. South Carolina making its move today, potentially picking up another seat there. Republicans are feeling a little excited these days, aren't they? This whole feeling among Democrats that they were going to win a ton of seats and take over Virginia. Well, none of that's going to fruition, and it looks like Republicans are moving forward. There might be another seat coming out of Alabama. Instead of 6-1, it'd be 7-0. South Carolina looks like they're going to get rid of that Clyburn district out in the Charleston area. That would become moving South Carolina to an additional Republican seat as well. The state Senate there taking action today. So we are seeing a lot of this stuff come to fruition. As I've said before, you're really putting a lot of these seats that were questionable in play. The Cook Political Report continuing to move seats from the Democrats to the Republicans. And as I noted yesterday, for all the liberals out there, take a look at the math. The Republicans are probably about 6 seats short of winning back the majority. If you look at the toss-up seats, which are between 16 and 18 seats, I think Republicans have a much better shot than most pundits who probably have never run in a campaign think today. Anyway, President heading to China, Kash Patel on the Hill today testifying. We got a lot to break down, but there's a big poll out suggesting that all voters, Republicans, Democrats, actually support age limits and term limits. We're going to break it down with chicks on the right. Before I do that, though, I got to thank you all again for making Trump 2.0 a New York Times bestseller. We're having this big free event at the Trump Kennedy Center Friday. Free tickets are available at SeanSpicer.com. Thank you for all of that. Tomorrow, by the way, on the show, Brandon Gill of Texas. I love when he questions witnesses. I'm going to ask him about that. And then on Friday, Steve Bannon is here. So we've got a big week. Hit that subscribe and notification button. Without further ado, though, I want to bring in Mock and Daisy, the chicks on the right. All right, chicks, welcome back to the show. It has been a while, as the kids say,
hot minute.
Good to see you.
A hot minute.
We were getting ready for the show, and Daisy was adjusting her name, and she said, "Oh, I got to change it because I write the Honorable Daisy."
I do.
And then we kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, which I stopped about when you can use honorable not, because I actually know the answer to this.
I love it. I love it. Tell us.
So technically, the way, if you get elected, you're honorable.
For anything?
Okay.
Like for literally anything?
For anything. Yeah. Now, there is a bit of a protocol debate that, like, at local levels, like if you're a city council person, technically, I guess, while you're in office, there's some people who claim that certain levels of office, like, you don't get to carry the title forward.
I'm a precinct chair. Do I get to be honorable just
No,
for that?
you're not a publicly. Although it's very important. Don't get me wrong. You're honorable in my world. But then, so if you're elected, especially federal office, it's for life. So if you're an ambassador for life, if you're a member of Congress for life, you are the honorable so-and-so for life. Then if you're appointed to an office in the Senate, so an ambassador, undersecretary, secretary, assistant secretary, if you're confirmed by the United States Senate, you are honorable.
So as press secretary, you are not honorable?
Well, that's the other category. Now, here's the deal. In the White House, there are 3 levels of what they call commissioned officers. Assistant to the president, of which the press secretary is one. Deputy assistant to the president, assistant to the president, special assistant to the president, and then staff is below that. I was assistant to the president, and I do get conferred the honorable title. I don't, like, people still will use that. I will say this, it's rare. Like, I would, in a protocol sense, and this is where this conversation is going to end, is like, I've seen people use it on, like, who have been in office before and say, the Honorable Sean Spicer. I would never, like, if people will correspond with you, they may write that, like, on a wedding invitation but I would never write that on
you would
my own.
You would never
Like,
ask to be referred to in your introduction as that way?
Amongst my children, I make them refer to me.
You're at your house. I mean, especially I would walk around my house with my crown on and say, yes, I'm honorable.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so I mean, within your world, of course, it's like being an ambassador. You're not like some organization will be like, they're a such and such ambassador. Like, someone I know actually not know well, like somebody I was introduced themselves as ambassador so-and-so. And I was like, wow, ambassador, you're awfully young. And they're like, no, I'm the ambassador to like, Kmart. And I was like, that's not really count. All right. Well, speaking of getting appointed and elected, I want you guys there's this new NPR poll that came out that shows 8 in 10 Americans are in favor of setting age caps and term limits for members of Congress. In fact, 78% of Democrats and 83% of Republicans backed minimum age limits, and nearly 9 in 10 supported term limits. So I want to get your take on, let's just start with age. Do either of you guys join the majority of Americans in believing that there should be age limits for members of Congress? And if so, what's that age? Mock, I'll start with you because you're not honorable.
Okay. Okay. Well, yes. And, at the risk of offending any very virile with it 80-year-olds, I would say when you hit 80, it is time for you to relax. You know what I mean? Even if.
So you want President Trump to retire?
Yes. I mean, he's going to.
Yeah.
Now, I would hold that if you are in the middle of a term, you don't have to quit. But by the end of that term, if you have reached the age of 80, just step aside already. And now, with respect to term limit. Oh, okay.
No.
Right.
Let's just do age. Daisy, give me your take on this.
I mean, I think 80 is probably a good. I guess that's a good age. I just I guess my thing is I don't understand why people want to do this at 80.
I get it. I mean, look, you know why?
What are they doing?
I get. Again, I'm going to give you my insight. Why? Because here's what happens, and I'm being dead serious. I've seen this movie enough times. When you get to be like 80 years old, because you see some of these members of Congress and they're getting wheeled around by staff, right?
Yes.
And it's not a bad deal, right? So if you're 80 years old, you get someone to wheel you around and drive you around. Your healthcare is taking care of it, like Walter Reed. So, or, I mean, look, here's the flip side. Because people go, well, why wouldn't you just retire? Because they're going to go sit by themselves at like the villages, no offense, and they'll hang out and do nothing and play like Yahtzee.
Sounds amazing.
And I think for them, they like the idea of getting wheeled around.
Right.
And get all their healthcare needs, and they get someone to make their appointments and do everything, and then they just go to the floor of the House of Representatives and go, yay, nay. Like,
yeah, we get why they do it. We just don't think they should.
Right. Yeah. And people will say that we already have term limits. It's called elections.
Right. Okay. Well, since you went there, are you pro term limits then?
I mean, yeah, because people are
stupid. That's exactly what I was going to say about term limits. I used to be on the completely opposite side of where I am now. Yes. I used to be like, no, that it's the people who set the term limits by electing these people out. But we have shown, human behavior has shown time and time again that we suck at doing this. And so we just get real cozy with knowing a name, and we don't care how bad they are. We just recognize a name. We vote for them again. We need to be restrained, and they need to have term limits.
All right. I don't mean to interrupt this conversation, but I got to tell you, we vote every day, don't we? And every choice that we make, from the things that we watch to the things that we buy. And I'm going to tell you, one company that I am so excited to support is Patriot Mobile, because when you switch your cell phone service over to Patriot Mobile, you are not only getting an amazing wireless company that's got all top tier service, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. You are getting a US-based amazing company that is values and activist driven. Here's the deal. They use their profits to support values-based First Amendment, Second Amendment, pro-life organizations. I love it. It's so easy to switch. All you do is go to patriotmobile.com/Spicer or give them a call at 972-PATRIOT, and they will send you an email. You flash your camera from your phone, send you a QR code, and boom, you are a few minutes away from switching. Could not be easier. That's all you do. You don't go into a store, nothing else. Probably takes 15 minutes tops. And that's if you're slow. Go to patriotmobile.com/Spicer or give them a call at 972-PATRIOT, and you get a free month of service just for saying that Sean sent you. Now back to the conversation. All right, you know what? I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm in the minority of both then, because I do still have that same feeling that you have, Mock. Like, I feel like it's a cop-out. Every time we can't do something as a people, like we can't deal with the federal budget, so let's have a commission. We can't deal with whatever. Let's have a commission. We can't deal with members of Congress who stay too long, so let's make them retire. I'm like, well, wait a second. We have a voice. We get to do this, and we do topple people all the time. And people act like they're useless. I feel like it's a cop out. We were given this right, this precious right to go out and vote. And then people go, yeah, but look, this person won't leave. Well, you didn't do anything to stop them. You encouraged it. And frankly, the other thing is I grew up in Rhode Island. We have like 2 members of Congress. And frankly, the thing that made Rhode Island get some sway here and there, whether it was Claiborne Pell when I was growing up or John Chafee, is they stuck around and they were able to gain seniority in both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party and get things done, some good, some bad. But the bottom line is, if you don't do that, allow small states to get seniority, you're going to make sure that big states always have the power, number one. And number two is, I've seen a bunch of these states, California, Florida, push term limits through. And all that happens is the staff gets more powerful and they end up running for other offices. It doesn't solve the problem. They just run for the Senate. They run for another office. So I'd rather at least have them stick around if they can continue to get voted on and build up some seniority.
Yeah, but some of these people stick around for like 50 years.
I know.
Like, that's not what our founders intended, which is that's what's disconcerting, And we are dealing with a populace that has to be told not to eat Tide Pods.
Wait, whoa. So, you're not supposed to eat them? Is that like a nutrition thing? Like you don't eat them unless you've worked out?
Don't, Sean. Just don't.
You sound like Kamala. What's your message on Tide Pods? Don't.
Listen, I totally agree with you. I agree with both sides. It's just that a lot of these people get into these jobs and it's so cush, and we always call it the hot tub, and they stay there forever and they don't do a damn thing. So, I mean, the people you're talking about did some stuff. That's great. But I think that's the exception.
Well, and then there's so much time spent on getting reelected. You know what I mean? Where, right. I don't know.
Right. Again, I get that. And I'm not unsympathetic to this, but the extreme is you end up, part of this isn't even who stays and who goes. I just feel like too often in America these days, when we have a problem, instead of dealing with it, we try to figure out what's the easiest way to solve it. So instead of saying, hey, rise up, get some people together and vote this clown out, we go, oh, let's just make them get out because they've turned a particular age. I agree with you. I think that 80 probably is solid enough. Like, people shouldn't be sticking around in Congress, but I also feel like setting an arbitrary limit, like why not 75? Why not 85? Like and I see plenty of people at 65 that shouldn't be doing anything. So I feel like, and also we would have lost President Trump and Trump 2.0 if we had these age limits. Not that obviously we're talking about members of Congress.
Right.
But I do feel like sometimes you get that exceptional person. I don't know.
I hear you. It's great.
If you had to pick between the two, if you got to either have age limits or term limits, Daisy, what would you have? Term limits or age limits?
Oh God.
Only one.
I think I would probably do term limits.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're making a really great case, and I think that a lot of these people just get so comfortable in the job and they make so much money, and there's all sorts of sketchy stuff going on. And I think a lot of us Americans out here are like, we know why you're in that office, All
right, Mock, which one? You get to pick
one. I know.
One.
I hate this choice.
Yeah, it is Sophie's choice.
It is. But I think I would pick term limits too, because I'm just not seeing, I hear your arguments and I get them, but I
reject them.
I reject them only because I have made sort of that transition to feeling like, listen, we have them for so many offices already. It's not like it's going to be a shock to the whole system. I feel like it's time to try something else.
All right, I'm going against the grain then. I'm saying if I have to pick one, I'd rather have people get out at 80. All right, I don't mean to interrupt the conversation one more time, but as you get ready for bed tonight, the smartest thing you can do is add 1 scoop of Beam's Dream Powder to a cup of water or milk. It's up to you. I like to put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. It doesn't really matter. When I'm traveling, I don't do that, by the way, because there's usually not a microwave in the room. I take that Beam Dream Powder and my head hits the pillow 30 seconds later. Those natural ingredients, reishi, apigenin, L-theanine, magnesium, melatonin kick in, and I have an amazing night's sleep. I wake up ready and raring to go. It's all natural. The flavor I love, as you guys know, if you're a watcher, you know I love the cinnamon flavor. But the brownie batter, the peanut butter, peppermint, they're all amazing, and it doesn't matter. But I'm telling you right now, if you go to shopbeam.com/Spicer, use my code Spicer for the limited time, you can get 40% off. Do not wait. Invest in yourself. Invest in your sleep. Go to shopbeam.com/Spicer. Use code Spicer for up to 40%. Now back to the chicks on the right. Here's the funny thing. I'm in my 50s. If I don't know why I would want to run for anything. Right? And here's the deal. When I was a kid, like seriously, like think about this. You're 65, 70 years old, right? The last thing I want to do is be hearing from like Johnny and like, I didn't get this and I need this and I didn't like your vote on that. I'd be like, hey, dude, like I want to be enjoying life and maybe finally picking up golf.
We don't even like wearing pants.
Right. I'm not wearing pants.
Right?
Right.
Nobody knows what's happening from the waist down here.
Correct. And by the way, I don't want to look like John Fetterman either. So I feel like
I actually would be fine with that.
No, I'm fine with looking like John Fetterman, just not on Capitol Hill. Like but I mean, I feel like I'm with you. Like I don't want to be doing anything like of consequence or getting yelled at by my neighbors when I'm 70 years old because I didn't vote the right way on a bill or I got a bunch of people standing outside my house. And frankly, the other thing is I don't really want someone to judge, you know, my driving or that I'm sitting in first class because I got upgraded or I'm like, people are so judgy these days. I'm like, I don't need that in my life. I don't know anyone wants to.
How about this as a compromise? Instead of making those two choices, how about we just all three of us agree that instead of those things, we just drastically cut the pay and benefits for Congress people. And even then there's less incentive to want to stay. How about that?
0 for 3 now. I'm the opposite. I'll give them more. Yeah. You know why?
What is wrong with you, Sean?
No, because here's the deal. Again, you know what? This is my years. I'm going to like lose all my followers tonight. So here's the thing. I saw when I started, you kids get off my lawn. When I started in politics, they used to make $89,000 a year, but they could take honoraria.
Wait,
and
what year did you start?
What 1990. My first race. Well, my first unpaid race was 1992. My first paid race was 1994. Contract with America. But so they changed the rule. They upped their salaries, which, by the way, they rarely get indexed anymore for. Because what was happening is these guys who make 89 grand were going out and giving a ton of speeches, you know, and people were buying 5 million of their books, and they were doing all this side hustle stuff to make ends meet. Like you cannot have 2 homes, and one in your home state and one in Washington, D.C., and raise a family on $170,000. It's just like flying back and forth and doing that. It's just not. And so what we're happening is that if we don't give an adequate amount of pay, no one of consequence is going to do it. So you're either going to get a bunch of losers who have no money and just need the salary, or you're going to get really rich people who don't need it. But I actually have, I would like to see these guys get paid, not have to do anything else, because I want people who are committed to doing this and not a bunch of people like the losers who have no money on the left and the people who are billionaires on the right. Like that's the only people who are running these days.
Yeah, but the fact that like it's unheard of in the private sector for people to be able to give themselves raises.
Right. Like, but they haven't. You do know that, right? They get a cost of living index the same way that members of the military, federal employees, Social Security recipients, they get a COLA. So if inflation goes up 3% this year, they get 3%. It's not a raise. They're getting their, I feel like I'm some apologist for Congress today. They are like, I don't want, like, I don't want these guys. I think it's ridiculous because we see all this stuff with stock trading and everything. I'd rather say, here's a salary, take it, focus on your job, fix America, stop worrying about side hustles. Like, that's my view.
They're still going to side hustle.
Because how could you stop that? Like, how can you stop someone from writing a book? Well, you know what I mean? Like, you can't really do that.
Right.
Right. Of course. But I want to, let me go down the rabbit hole on term limits, because the thing that was so funny, and this backs into this issue of redistricting, is when the Democrats didn't get their way because they broke the law. Like, they broke the law. It was funny. The only reason I say it this way, for everyone who's going like, why do you care? There was an NBC4 local guy here in the Northern Virginia, D.C. area, who said Republicans are upset because Democrats broke the rules. I'm like, no, this isn't soccer. You didn't break the rules. It didn't go out of bounds. You broke the law. Like I was listening to this guy and I'm like, dude, it wasn't like, hey, that's a corner kick. Like, you guys literally broke the law. And so they one of the big things that they floated in this discussion was, why don't we put in term limits for Virginia Supreme Court justices at age 54. Now, if you don't get the joke on that, it's that the youngest person on the Virginia Supreme Court is 54. So if they had been like 48, they would have said 48. But like that was, to me, such a sign of Democrats'
desperation.
Desperation. Like, it's like, let's try
Total
to
desperation.
Like, the thing that's so funny is, when you're on a conference call and everyone's like, all right, who's got an idea? And they're like, hey, we should, maybe we should take the Supreme Court. And someone literally on that conference call went, all right, here's one. What if we just let me get it out? Let me get it out. Everyone just hold on a second. What if we have term limits, but for 54 years old? Like,
I know. It is remarkable, isn't it? It's truly remarkable how much the lengths they'll go to break the rules.
They're so shady. Shady.
But it goes, like I said, this is the funny thing about this. They get pissed at Republicans, and Republicans are just playing the game better under the rules, right? So first they say this, and then Cory Booker decides, no. Let me show you what I want to do. I want to go the opposite way with the Supreme Court. Take a listen to Cory Booker.
This decision has revived the debate within the Democratic Party about potentially adding more seats to the Supreme Court. Would you, Senator, support an effort to add more seats to the Supreme Court, to expand the court?
Well, remember, there's a corrupt shadow hanging over the Supreme Court. Some of these same members that are voting on decisions like this are accepting gifts from billionaires. We have RVs, lavish vacations. It's a corrupt court. The highest court in our land has the lowest ethics laws. Number two is that the Supreme Court, clearly within our power, I lead one of these pieces of legislation with Senator Whitehouse and others, to give term limits to Supreme Court members. That could go a long way in curing this. The Supreme Court desperately needs reform. It is a corrupt court, and in my opinion, it is a court that needs reform, and I will continue to lead on those things.
Yeah, so things aren't going his way.
You notice it wasn't corrupt before it was a 6-3 conservative
so
court,
weird.
right? That as long as you're ruling in their direction, it's a great court. Now suddenly we need to kick everybody off the court.
Correct.
And why stop at 13? Because I heard that's the number that's floating around now. Ro Khanna is saying we need to have 13 justices, which is super handy for Democrats to talk about right now. Like, why stop there? It's kind of like, we need to raise the minimum wage to whatever, $25. Why not 50? Why not 100? Why don't we just have like 39 Supreme Court justices? What? This is so stupid.
But again, this goes back to the point, like, on redistricting. The Democrats are in pursuit of power, right? And whatever that takes, so it doesn't matter. Term limits, age limits, pack the court. And this is what fundamentally I think sometimes people on our side need to get, which is they fundamentally will do whatever it takes to achieve and stay in power. Full stop. And if we don't understand what we're up against, it's not like my side is better than yours because of this policy or that policy. It's fundamentally a pursuit of power. And our side sits around and says, like in these redistricting wars, well, I'm not sure midterm redistricting is the right thing to do because it sets a bad precedent. Fine. I don't disagree in some cases. Maybe we shouldn't blow up the filibuster. But my point is, wake up and recognize they will. They will do it. And the second that they get into power, and you're going to sit back and say, I wish I had, I wish I had, I wish I had.
Yeah, it's funny that we don't recognize that. Look at all the stuff they've done to Trump. They've done despicable, awful things, and they will stop at nothing. And so you look at just the history that we've had with these people over the past, I don't know, even the past 6-7 years. And we should be getting a grip.
And we have to play dirty. I mean, because they will. And so if we're not, especially right now, I mean, like, don't even get us started on the SAVE Act, because this is, again, something that's an 80% issue. Get started. And like, we can't get this done because we are apparently too principled. Well, I'm tired of being principled.
Well, but again, the thing is, the thing that I love, so here's the difference though. Think about the tactic, right? They'll do whatever they can. They play dirty. They do whatever. All we want is to say, you have to prove who you are. Like, that doesn't advantage anybody. That literally is saying, I want to make sure you're a U.S. citizen before you vote. Like, you can still vote however you want. You can get your folks to vote. Like, and they're like, no, do not ask us to do this.
I'm sorry. You're making my blood pressure rise.
They
love that it already does.
Sorry. But maybe I'll take this down a notch, because the DNC is getting additional renewed pressure to release their autopsy, which frankly, I don't know they need to release it. I can tell you what went wrong last time. But Kamala Harris came out and she's saying she wants the autopsy released. Ken Martin, the DNC chair, is now getting this pressure that to release it. Cory Booker, actually, let me just show you again. This is Cory Booker episode. Here's what he had to say on the so-called DNC autopsy.
Senator, NBC News is reporting that former Vice President Kamala Harris has been telling donors she believes the Democratic National Committee should release its autopsy of her failed 2024 campaign, something the DNC chair had initially promised to do, seems to have walked that back. Do you think the DNC should release that autopsy?
Yeah, release the autopsy, but we're 6 months before an election. If there's not enough reason to vote, the president's stripping away our health care for millions of Americans, seeing rural hospitals close. If there's not enough reason to vote, your prices skyrocketing, interest rates up. If there's not enough reason to vote, prioritizing ballrooms over people's child care and health care. This is 6 months before an election. We need to be mobilizing and organizing in this election. Fine, DNC, release it. They should do that. But the most important thing is for people to get out and vote in record numbers.
As you have heard, former Vice President Harris has said she's thinking about running again in 2028. Do you think that Vice President Harris is the strongest person to represent Democrats in 2028?
I think that it was a disservice to Kamala Harris that we did not have a primary in the last election. I hope we have the most robust 28 primary there is, with a lot of great leaders involved in that primary, so that the Democratic Party can choose who's going to be their standard bearer.
Okay, I mean, I don't even know where to start with this, because on the autopsy, I'm like, dude, first of all, and it ties into the second part of the question, right? Which is, she was the problem. They had a horrible message. They had a horrible messenger. I don't think I need an autopsy to tell me that.
Yeah. Well, even if they came out with an autopsy report, whatever that looks like, they're going to reframe the narrative. This is what liberals do. They'll spin it. They'll make it sound like, if it was terrible, they'll make it sound like something. This is what they do. They constantly minimize, reframe, rewrite history, and do. She's the problem. I actually hope they
It's fascinating, actually, that they haven't released it, though. So now that she's asking for it, that's a story that probably isn't even a story. Like, if they just had released it to begin with, everybody would have been like, yeah, all that stuff makes sense. We all saw how terrible of a campaign this is. But now that there's this like secrecy around it, now it's become a thing that and now it's going to become even more of a thing because people will keep the pressure on. I love it.
And maybe it has something to do with the fact that they did install her. And he alludes to that, which is crazy that he even says that when they're the party of democracy and, oh my God, anti-fascist. I mean, they're constantly screaming that we do that kind of stuff when they actually did it. They installed her. And nobody had a say.
I have a theory on this. So I believe that if you did any real autopsy, which, why didn't we win? What went wrong, right? There's a number of things. The primary, they had $1.8 billion and still went into debt because Beyonce got paid not to sing and whatever. Okay.
I forgot that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, can we get you to come to an event and we will pay you, but don't do the one thing that everyone wants you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just stand there and get everyone pissed off. But so here's my theory on this. So at first I thought to myself, how dumb is Kamala Harris, because she wants an autopsy release that is clearly has to say that she was a horrible candidate and a horrible messenger. And then I revised my thought, which was, wait, she probably knows what's in it, right? and that in fact, what happened, in my opinion, now is that it's the exact opposite. That the DNC didn't acknowledge her, and so therefore she wants it released. And if anything, that's to me the bigger mistake. If you can honestly say you looked at what happened last election and she's not the biggest problem, then it's not an honest analysis. And I think she knows that they left her out of the autopsy. And that's why she's pushing the DNC to release it, because she's like, great, you don't even mention me, so I'm
well,
fine.
But then to what end? Like, okay, so say that that's true and she's not mentioned and like the DNC did all kinds of stuff wrong. So what? I mean, everybody with a brain knows that she is the worst candidate ever.
Right. But don't you think that now Ken Martin's holding the hot potato, because he's now would have to release a report that says, yeah, we just did this entire analysis and we didn't point the finger at the problem that everybody knows is the problem. And that undermines their credibility.
Yeah, but they're not credible people. These are not serious people. None of these people are serious people. And if you ask the average American person, like anybody that lives in my neighborhood, they know that she's just a crappy candidate. She's unlikable, just like Hillary was. Nobody likes her. And she wasn't elected because of that.
And she hid.
And that reason alone.
Hid a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think that, look, I actually am intrigued now, because I think that Ken Martin, the DNC, had been jumping on the grenade, and that he was like, I'm going to try to save the embarrassment of Biden and Harris. So I'm just not going to release it. But now if Kamala Harris and Cory Booker and others are saying release it, like if I were him, I'd go, fine, here it is, not mine. Do you guys think it ultimately gets released?
Is this a thing, or is this like a new thing, or has this always been a thing?
It's like an inside the beltway thing.
I never remember talking about an autopsy report for previous campaigns ever.
Yeah, and I would say that our community. I'm sorry, my dogs are barking. Our community would probably
Kamala's at your house.
Right, like their helicopters are coming in, but I don't think that they would care. Like normal, I think you're right. I think it's inside the beltway. I think the Washington people and the people who are so involved, like in our campaign stuff, they may care about this. Regular people are like, we know,
like we were there, we were all there. We saw this happen.
Exactly.
How much she
That's
sucked.
why I'm saying I don't need a report. I'm like, dude, I watched it. I saw the movie.
Exactly.
Totally.
She's bad.
It's bad. Yeah.
All right. Let's. Speaking of bad, I cannot believe the Democrats in California. I don't know about you guys, but I was out there 3 weeks ago, and I talked to Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco. I actually am of the belief right now that we could end up with they've got this jungle primary, top two advance, regardless of party, because the Dems tried to rig this, years ago. And I think that they finally might have created a scenario where two Republicans advance, and we end up with a guaranteed Republican governor of California for the first time.
So great.
I know.
It's amazing.
But there's a lot of
so
chat that and the worst part about this for the Dems, the wrong people are ascent right now. So you have what's his name? Javier Becerra, who was the feckless HHS secretary under Biden and the former attorney general.
Oh my God,
he's rising. Villagrosa's got a little bit of a piece, the former LA mayor. Like once what's his name? Swalwell, the bad guy, dropped out. There was this sense that somebody would rise. Katie Porter, Tom Steyer, he's got billions.
God,
but the problem is the car crash is getting bigger. No one's escaping, and that actually is good news for the Republicans.
Yeah, we may actually be able to save California.
Well, their voting system is so whack that that always puts a wrench into all of these these dreams, this wish casting that we're doing right now. But it's true. Everybody on the Democrat side for governor, they're just awful, awful candidates. And Katie Porter is the worst of them. Like I cannot, I said on our show this morning that I am genuinely mystified that anybody is a Katie supporter. Like, who are the people that find her worthy of support? She's a detestable person.
It's like if you morph Hillary and Kamala together and then make her even more unlikable, that's Katie
awful.
Porter.
I think that, honestly, I bet you everybody that supports Katie Porter has Stockholm syndrome. She's just, to the point, because she is such a mean, a mean person.
She's so mean.
So mean. And she's like condescending, and I just wonder if people are like, yeah, but she said she'd hit me if I don't actually vote for her.
She's gonna throw potatoes on me.
Right.
Hot scalding potatoes. Right.
If we go a little south to the mayor's race there, I have been intrigued by this Spencer Pratt race against Karen Bass for mayor of Los Angeles, California. Here's the latest beef, though. Spencer Pratt, who, for the people who don't know, is a reality TV star, villain, whatever, social media influencer, but really came to prominence after the Palisades fire and his critique of what LA had done and not done. And he says that he's going to be implementing a 3-week, quote, grace period in LA before he unleashes on criminals. He'll bring back, anyway, I want, like, this to me is sort of a fascinating thing that he's coming in, and this viral 3-week grace period is getting people all fired up. The liberals are going nuts. You got to wonder, like, here's a guy who's willing to confront it, right? He's saying, I'm going to take crime head on. I'm going to clean the city up. I'm going to clean homeless up. I'm going to actually address the homeless instead of continuing to sweep stuff under the rug and throw more money at something that's not solving it. Do you guys, I know you guys have talked about this on your show. I wonder if this thing is actually able to go from like a bunch of viral clips to manifesting itself into a campaign that can get people out voting and change horses here.
Well, it's California. So it's LA. I mean, there's a lot of liberals who are like, but we really like our crime and we like poop in the streets.
And we love the fires. The fires were amazing.
The fires were so great. I mean, they're going to double, triple, and quadruple down because they don't like this. But I think Spencer Pratt is exactly who the founders had in mind when they talked about people being
really,
yeah, regular.
Because he's
George Washington was like, when you're fourscore on the hills, there'll be a Heidi Montag, and he will.
Honestly, I think he is, Sean, because he's a regular guy who lives in the community, and I 100% believe that he's genuine, where he really wants to do something better for his community, the one that he and his family live in. And he's not just some schlep that's up there spewing a bunch of, just slogans that don't mean anything to anybody. He wants to fix things. And he's like, you know what? No one else is going to do it. So I guess I got to do it.
Well, let me just play you guys for a second. This is Spencer Pratt talking about this plan that he had. Take a listen.
You start putting handcuffs on people, watch how many people leave.
100%.
This idea that if you let everyone do drugs and do whatever they want and let the criminals make the outside asylum and with no guards, if you let them do that, they're going to do that. But so when I'm mayor, my plan is first 3 weeks, signs up across the city. No more nakedness, no more drug use, no more robbing, no more
burning dogs in the street.
No more dog abuse. On every sign, on every bar, and we're going to go around, we're going to warn everybody, hey, got 3 more weeks of this, like clock's ticking, just keep telling everyone, so the people that are aware, they're like, oh, wow, there's a new mayor in town, they may start leaving. And then when the 3 weeks, or maybe we'll even do 2 weeks, maybe people will want it faster. And then once we start enforcing the laws, boom, streets will be back. You know who else I'm going to bring in? The CDC. Because there's medieval diseases in these encampments. They're not swabbing these encampments. They're not swabbing the streets. People are just living in feces and drug use and dogs burning and bodies. We need these streets cleaned.
All right. I mean, the lady, I feel like the people of LA might finally go, you know what? Let's give this a chance.
Yeah. I can't imagine. Again, I am in a state of being totally mystified that people look at Karen Bass, because I know she's still leading in the polls, and think, yeah, we need more of what we've just been through over the last few. Like, how are they that masochistic? I love his messaging right now, because he is saying, forget parties. He doesn't want to talk about being a Republican or a Democrat or whatever. He's saying, I am a citizen of this community, and I was affected directly by terrible policies, and I know what it feels like to be impacted by them. I want to change them because I get it. And I love that messaging.
Yeah, because he loves it. And he loves where he lives. He used to love it, and they have ruined it, just like so many other cities. And so many of us, and he's he's so symbolic of so many people that live there that feel voiceless. And he's like, I'm just sick
and I'm one of you.
Excuse my language, but I'm right. I want to help. I want to do something to fix it. I want to finally fix it. And God bless him. Godspeed. I hope people aren't stupid enough to vote what they had before in again.
All right. I want to combine two of the things that you just said, though, because Mock, you said that you love his message, and Daisy, you said because he loves where he lives and he's committed to it. But he said something else just recently that I wonder how this is going to go over, which is the following. He said, let me play it for you, because he says, if I don't win, here's what I'm going to do.
If I don't win, I can always say, yep, now you have communists. The city's destroyed. Good luck, everybody. I tried. I warned you. I told you what I found out and learned in a year of doing this all day long, every day, talking to people in the federal government, people in the IRS, criminal investigation, everything I've learned. I'm telling you, this is a red alert. And if you want to choose to go that way, then I can end up moving to Bentonville one day and looking back and saying, yeah, I tried to save LA. It's done.
So he's like, hey, I'm out. And I just wonder, like, do people go, so how does that play, right?
I think I'm like, okay, great.
Everything else was good.
He tried.
He's literally done. How can you try harder than wanting to lead the city and implement new ideas? Right. I feel like people will understand. I think they understand it more than anything else, that when people vote with their feet, we're seeing that, we're going to see it more and more in New York City. We're seeing it in Seattle. We're seeing it all over the country. That is how people vote. And they try and they do everything they can to stay in the places that they love. But if people are going to vote in crap leaders, what else are you supposed to do?
Right. Yeah. We have a boy that just moved from, he moved from California 6 months ago. He lives 10 minutes away from us now here in Texas. Best decision that he ever made. I mean, he and his wife tried for years to live in California. They love it. It's a beautiful place. It really is. There are beautiful places. There are conservatives there, but man, the liberals have ruined so many of the cities there. They're just unlivable. You cannot raise a family in some of those cities. You just can't do it. So of course they're going to leave. And like Mock says, they're going to vote with their feet, and they did. And they're just one of many examples that have done that.
Before we go, I need you guys to give me an update on something that I am following tangentially, but for a lot of personal reasons, I just don't like getting into this whole issue that's happening with Candace Tucker and Meghan. Like, is this, in your opinion, like click stuff? Like, are they going this for the views? Are they trying to really sound like I don't spend a ton of time focused on it, to be completely honest with you guys. I know you guys have brought this up before. Do you put them in the same category? Do you think each has an individual, but the coalition that brought us into 2024 at least is somewhat splintering? You got Meghan and Tucker and Candace all now talking about Israel and Qatar and Iran in a way that is very separate from where a lot of other folks are in the movement.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this almost every day because because there are new depths to which particularly Candace will sink on almost a daily basis. But I think we also talk about it because it's evidence of the brain rot that Charlie Kirk used to mention all the time when it comes to blaming Israel for all the world's ills. And once you decide that that is your angle and you see everything with those glasses on, so to speak, then it is brain rot. I mean, it's truly amazing and disappointing for us, like on a personal level, to see it happen with Meghan in particular, because she was like our North Star for so many, for so long. Years. We admired her. And to see her transformation be such a 180-degree difference, even from just the beginning of this calendar year, it's so striking that we have to talk about it. Like, because we don't want to be ever seen as people who will change that drastically. We have stayed the same on this issue since we began in 2009. And so we just want people to know they're not alone if they're feeling that sense of disappointment in those people that we are.
Yeah. And to answer your question about the clicks, I think a lot of it does have to do with clicks for some people. I mean, we're not those people. We've just, I don't know. I just look at some of these people that are out there saying things that are so, like Mock says, so drastically different than what they said even 2-3 months ago, or they forget what they said. And so it's just like, I think a lot of it's for clicks, and people are making a really good living off of things like the death of an unbelievable man, which is just, it's gross. It's just gross.
All right. There's one last thing I want you guys to weigh in on. I was at this MAHA event last night with Secretary Kennedy and Dr. Oz, and they had just come from the Oval Office where they launched moms.gov. And Dr. Oz was talking to us, and he said, he used a term that I'd never heard. He said that 1 of 3 American women are what they call under-babied, which is either are childless or having fewer kids than they want, right? And Bobby then spoke, and he was saying back in the 1970s, I think the average American family had 3.1 children, and now it's 1.56, and that's actually having an actuarial effect on our ability to fund Social Security and stuff. And so but part of this was that they are now trying to make IVF a more available resource for women in particular who want to have more babies. Do you guys think, I mean, you just mentioned your son, Daisy, and his wife, is this something that younger voters, as we head into a midterm, do you think this is going to be attractive to them? Or is this, I was maybe just thinking about it from a political sense only. Is this another issue that will bring women into the fold this year?
I mean, I don't know, perhaps. I did not know that stat when you just said that stat. And that makes me really sad that we're down, I think just the whole women not having babies, young kids. I see kids because we have millennials and then we have a 16-year-old, and the they don't have a lot of kids now. And I don't know, there are so many different reasons for that, I guess.
Yeah.
But and maybe, a lot of people, they've been told for so long, this country sucks and you can't do it here, or it's not financially feasible, or you have to have these certain things. You have to have a house, and you have to have these cars, and you have to have this. So you can't do that. You can't have a baby until you do all these, which is bullcrap, because we didn't do that. Right. I mean, so there's 18 gajillion reasons that kids are not having babies anymore. I say kids, that, that age group is not having babies anymore. And I'm just sad about that.
I gotta say, I don't think this moves the needle. I think it is super niche, honestly. And I think if more of a focus were on, here's how we're going to fix healthcare and the healthcare insurance industry so that you can actually afford to have kids, that would go a way longer way, because that impacts people directly every single day. Yes, there's a handful of people who struggle with fertility and who would be interested in IVF, but just returning to a place where we're actually having a lot of kids is going to require that we can afford to have them. And affordability is way more important, I think, than IVF.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting ready to put our 3rd kid through college. And it's hard. It is so hard to put kids through college, and it's expensive. And this is the thing a lot, and they know that. And so our older kids see us doing that, and they've seen us help them and they know how expensive it is. And they're like, we got to do that. If we have a kid, it's going to cost X amount of dollars. And I hate that they do that. I hate that they have to do that. Okay. So a lot of it's affordability.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I always love our conversations. Let's not make it last, have this much time in between the next one. So stick around. Like to see you soon. And I will confer the honorable title on you officially. Anyway, thank you. All right, guys, thanks for being with us. As I said, tomorrow, Brandon Gill from Texas will be joining us. On Friday, Steve Bannon, great panel on Thursday. Thanks to everyone who bought Trump 2.0. As you recall, you can get those free tickets to come join us at the Trump Kennedy Center on Friday at SeanSpicer.com. We'd love to see you here in Washington, D.C. at the Trump Kennedy Center. It'll be one of the final events. So even if you don't want to look at the book, you get to come to the Trump Kennedy Center. Those tickets are at SeanSpicer.com. Great column out today. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.